Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we are going to look at some of the teams that I think will perform really well in the coming game weeks. So from game week 24 to game week 30. Now the teams that I've chosen today are a really interesting bunch, and before doing the research actually, I myself didn't know that these teams actually had such good fixtures and statistics as well. So I'm actually thinking of bringing in some players from these teams. Hopefully you guys find this video helpful and helps you guys to identify some players that you can bring in or keep in your team for quite a decent amount of game weeks. So as usual, do give this video a like if you enjoy it, and also subscribe if you're new around here, and let's get on with the video. So I'm going to start with the more obvious ones, and I'll leave the more exciting differential teams closer to the end. So the most obvious team that we need to either double or even triple up on is Manchester City. Now they are arguably the best team in the league this season, and their numbers are off the charts. So they're expected to get 2 goals every game based on their minutes per expected goal stat of 45.6. And also their minutes per expected goals conceded is the best in the league at 144.7, which is not surprising considering how good and how steady they are at the back this season. So from game week 24 to game week 30, the only fixtures that are slightly more tricky for them are the Tottenham and Manchester United games. But even so, Spurs and United don't look very convincing. And as for the other games, City have Brentford, Norwich, Everton and Palace. So if you ask me, those are the games that I think City could really run riot. So I've picked out some City assets that I think at this point in time are kind of the best to own, and I've gone with KDB first because I do believe that he is the best City asset to have at this point in time. Now he's picked up in form since missing out early on in the season, and he's got himself a decent number of goals and assists in recent times. So based on the eye test as well, I think he does seem to be City's best player at this point in time. So really someone that can kind of get some hauls during this good run that they have. And the only drawback would be his price tag. But if we are able to afford him, then definitely we should consider getting KDB. Now, as for Foden, I do prefer him over players like Bernardo Silva and Gundogan, just because they don't really, stand out to me as much based on the minutes that they're getting and also their expected goals or expected assist numbers. So Foden is still the one for me, and if we're looking for a slightly cheaper City attacker, then, he's the one to consider. Now, as for defenders, the obvious one is Cancelo. I don't really have to talk too much about how good he is and how we have to have him in our team if we don't already have him. But a very interesting pick and someone that I'm actually considering myself is Laporte. So before the season started, we would all think that Diaz is the most nailed centre-back. At this point, it does seem that Laporte has now become that Diaz of old, kind of. And we see that Laporte has been consistently starting games, coupled with his attacking threat, which we just saw against Southampton, last game week when we saw Kevin De Bruyne cross in the ball from a free kick and Laporte just headed it in. So his attacking threat is quite attractive as well. And yeah, it's a pretty easy swap for those of us who still have Alonso and Rudiger. So it's an easy one-to-one swap for us to get Laporte in our team. So definitely someone that I think we should be considering at this point in time as well. Next up, we have Aston Villa, and now Gerrard's influence on the team as well as the introduction of their new signings have really given Villa a boost. And in the next 7 game weeks, some of their weaker opponents include Leeds, Newcastle, Watford and even Southampton. So in terms of their postponed fixtures, they have yet to play Burnley and Leeds. And once again, these are really easy games as well. So if either of these games that have been postponed get slotted into any of the fixtures in their line of fixtures already, then we could be potentially staring at a really juicy double game week for Villa. So looking at some of the assets, I've picked up Watkins, who is currently their main striker, and he hasn't really been in firing form in recent games, but I think this run of fixtures do bring good opportunities for him to get some returns. Now, of course, we have to mention the 2 new signings, which they have been really good for Villa. Almost making instant impacts, I would say. So Coutinho and Digne. And at this point in time, I would say that getting Luca Dean may be safer, just because he's pretty much guaranteed a full 90 minutes as compared to Coutinho, who is still easing back into full fitness. So, but that being said, we cannot ignore the potential impact that Coutinho can have on a team. So if we do want to take a punt on Coutinho at this point in time, that's fair as well. Now, a slightly more differential pick at 2.5% ownership right now is Jacob Ramsey. So he's someone that I think deserves much more recognition for his outstanding performances in recent times. So for a 4.6 million midfielder, he's been starting almost every game under Gerrard and making a difference with all his goals and assists recently. So if we're looking for a really cheap differential pick from Villa, I'd definitely go for Ramsey. Now, just before we move on to the next team, someone who's not on the screen right now, but also someone that I think we should be considering from Villa is Buendia. Now, he got the winning goal against Everton in Villa's last game, and he's pretty much the maestro of the team as well. So I think Buendia makes a pretty good option in terms of chance creation and also maybe potentially getting some assists as well. So yeah, I think Buendia is a decent option that we should be considering. Alright, so next up we have a slightly more interesting team, and that's Brentford. Now on first glance, their fixtures may not look that great, but hear me out. So we all know that Brentford are really strong on home ground, and even the bigger teams have found it hard to beat them at home. So knowing this and looking at their fixtures, in the next 7 game weeks they have Palace, Newcastle and Burnley at home, which are fixtures that I think Brentford can perform really well in. And to add to this, they even have Norwich away. So I really think it's a decent run of fixture for Brentford, and maybe after the City game, we can consider getting someone like Ivan Toney or Mbeumo in. Now, those are the two main attackers that come to mind when we mention Brentford. But if we want someone who's slightly more of a differential pick, we can go for Kenos. Now, he's definitely more of a risk, but I think someone that can also get some hauls during this period of time. Now, in terms of defenders, the one that looks the most nailed at this point in time is Pinnock. And originally, a few weeks back, I was considering Rico Henry, but in recent times, he hasn't really started many games, and he's been getting less minutes as well. So on the whole, I would go for Pinnock at this point in time since he's a bit safer. Now, lastly, and in my opinion, the best differential team for game week 24 to 30 is Southampton. So looking at their fixtures, they have Everton, Norwich, Villa, Watford and Burnley, with also a possible double game week fixture with Newcastle. And this is really an absolute dream for Ralph Hasenhüttl. And Southampton will be looking to capitalize on this run. So let's take a look at some assets that we should consider from Southampton. And in terms of forwards, we have Che Adams and Broja. Now, both of them seem to be the preferred strikers at this point in time, and they could be in for some good returns as well. But I would say that Broja is the preferred pick among the two since he's a bit cheaper, and some would say he's looking sharper as well. So at 5.2 million, I think it is a very good bargain to get Broja. And of course, when we talk about Southampton, we do have to talk about James Ward-Prowse. So he's been on good form recently, and as always, he's on every set piece for Southampton. And Pep even recently said that he's the best free kick taker in the world right now. So that is high praise, and definitely, for someone who's on set pieces all the time, he gets the odd goal here and there. I think that Ward-Prowse is the one that we should consider as well. And lastly, in terms of defenders, I've picked Walker-Peters, but for now, it's only because Livramento is out injured. So we don't really know if Livramento will come straight back into the team after Walker-Peters, had a fine performance against City, getting a goal as well. So I would recommend for us to keep a close watch in the news for this Walker-Peters pick, just to see how Livramento is recovering as well. But for now, I would say that he can be on our radar as well, Walker-Peters. Alright, so that's it for this video, guys. I hope it was useful for you. Do give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and I will be releasing a Game Week 24 wildcard team very soon. So do subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on that one as well, and I will see you guys in another video. Bye-bye.